Well, we would have to define what awakened means, and who is there to be awakened or not awakened. To be awakened means not to believe, in my book, right? Means not to believe to be a separate or limited consciousness. If that's the case, there is no body limited here, no limited entity to be awakened or not to be awakened. To be awakened means not to believe to be a separate entity. In the absence of such a belief, we are whatever we are. We have no name, or all the names. We are not this human body-mind which appears in consciousness and in the world. Experientially, it is made of bodily sensations and thoughts. The body part, experientially, being the bodily sensations that are part of our human experience, the mind part being the thoughts that are part of our human experience. In fact, our human experience comprises the body, the mind, and the world. The world part being comprised of external sense perceptions. That's what body-mind is experientially. Conceptually, it's a different story, and that's what people usually refer to as the body-mind, the concept we have of an object, gross or physical for the body part, and subtle for the mind part. The interaction between both are obvious, since if I decide to raise my hand, it's a thought, but I follow up. It has an effect in the physical world, and conversely, if I drink too much alcohol, the body gets a little tipsy, but the mind also changes. So obviously there is a mutual interaction between the body and the mind in this conceptual version. The problem is that we don't know where they interact. You see, because the thoughts, the perceptions seem to be in the mind sphere, and the world in the physical sphere. Where is the connection? That remains a mystery. That's a mystery that already Descartes mentioned, and a mystery that finds a harmonious solution when we understand the real nature of awareness, since the mind, the thoughts, experientially, are made out of awareness. The world is made out of an underlying reality that creates all observable phenomena in it. the identity of this reality and awareness is the key to this, the solution of this problem, the mind-body problem. Whatever it is, which is really hearing my words right now. Awareness is the reality which is hearing my words right now. Because the fact of this hearing is beyond the shadow of a doubt. It's obvious. Therefore, there is an element of reality that is inherent in this experience. This element of reality, this certainty of awareness, of perception, is what I call awareness. And that's why we can define awareness in terms of reality. Awareness is a reality which is hearing these words right now. In contradistinction with awareness being an attribute of the body or an attribute of the mind, but being something kind of dependent upon the body or on the mind, depending on the version we are considering. By having a glimpse of the reality of awareness, awareness then transcends the limitation of the body. It opens a door to our understanding. And it makes possible, it opens a possibility that awareness and reality are one and the same. Because if there is only one reality, and if awareness is a reality which is hearing these words right now, then awareness is this reality. It is the way we experience the reality of everything. That's the open secret, the great secret, is that the reality of everything is within us, experienced as awareness. It is, the divine spark in each of us, or the Christ in each of us, or the Atman in the other traditions. Philosophers, real philosophers of old, the Parmenides, the Platos, have known that. The sages, the Lao Tzu, the Buddhas, have known that awareness is reality. You see, we could define awareness as an attribute of reality, or conversely, reality as an attribute of awareness. There is this mutual exchange, meaning they are equivalent, they are the same. The fundamental equation of non-duality is awareness equals reality. In Sanskrit terms, it's Atman, awareness, equals Brahman. The problem is that we live in a culture which is in fact a form of religion, in which awareness is seen as dependent on a much higher reality, which seems to be physical. But there is not such a thing. What we call the physical reality has its source. It's something which is non-physical. That's evidenced by the fact that there are laws of physics. We are whatever it is which is hearing these words right now. That's obvious to us. In other words, and that's what I call awareness, right? Most people believe that awareness is dependent upon the body. And, but if we ask ourselves the question, if it wasn't the case, if by any chance awareness was not dependent upon the body, what, in my opinion, would be my true nature, that which I call I? Would that be my body, or would that be awareness? Let's put that in different terms. Let's say the body dies, right? And you find yourself in front of St. Peter. And St. Peter tells you, I'm sorry, you're dead. But however, because you were not too bad in this life, the boss decided to give you a choice. It's going to be either you keep awareness or you keep the body, but you cannot keep both. What choose you? My guess is that most people would choose awareness, because what's the use of a body if you're not aware of anything? Right? So, which shows that obviously if it wasn't the case that awareness is dependent upon the body and limited by the body, our true nature would be experientially awareness rather than the body. And then the next question is, how do I know that awareness is dependent upon the body? You see, what's the evidence? Because we all believe, most of us, believe that we have strong evidence in support of the thesis according to which awareness is an emergent property of the body or something, or an emergent phenomenon. But in fact, what is the evidence? If we try to find it, we find no evidence. How do I know that something is dependent on something else? Let's say, how do I know that B is dependent on A? It's because if I operate some changes on A, B is going to change accordingly, right? There is a causal relationship from A to B. Now, if we say that awareness is dependent upon the body, it would imply that if I change the body, awareness changes. For instance, it would imply that over time, since the date of my birth, when the body was that tall, up until now, the body has changed, obviously. Did awareness change? Do we have the experience that awareness has changed? Now, we don't. We don't have the feeling that the content of awareness, the experience, the content, the phenomenal content changes, but awareness itself doesn't. How could we aware of change if we were changing, we awareness, changing with the change? So the questioning that we're interested in answering this question or this problem is, what is the evidence that awareness is dependent upon the body? The body changes, awareness doesn't. So this dependency test doesn't work. It fails here. Of course, if I change the body, the content of awareness, the perceptions, obviously changes. That is not in question here. The question is, if we change the body, or if the body changes, does the reality that perceives the body change? It's a very different question, because I don't define awareness as the content, in terms of the content of awareness, but in terms of the reality that perceives the content. You know, that's the hard problem of consciousness. If you read scientific papers on consciousness, you will discover that most of the time, what is defined as consciousness is what I call the content. And it's a very legitimate field of science. But it is not the awareness as I define it in terms of reality.